Hi, Super Scholar, Miss Gross here. Today for math, we are doing lesson 14-1 on number sequences. This is on page 733 of your workbook. I'll give you just a few minutes to get there. I hope everyone is having a wonderful Wednesday. I am missing you all so much in this last week of April. All right, hopefully everybody's found their way there. If you haven't, you can pause me or you can just catch up when I give you work time for this solve and share. Today, we are working on using rules to learn about number patterns and how we can extend that number pattern by saying what they have in common. And you'll see a little bit more about that as we move on to the rule as we're talking about it. So the solve and share today says, look at the rules and starting numbers below. What are the next 6 numbers in each pattern? Tell how you decided. Describe new features of these patterns. So the features are going to come up as you are doing these next 6 numbers. What you're going to see is a pattern emerge other than adding 3. You're going to notice things that it doesn't say in the rule, but are still true for all those numbers. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few minutes to work it out. Find your next 6 numbers first, then go through and see what do these have in common. So all of these next 6 numbers in the subtract 4. What do those have in common? The ones in add 2. How are they the same? The ones in add 3. What makes them similar other than the rule? Okay, give you just a few minutes to work this out, and then I'll check with you. All right, guys, I know I still have most of you working, but I'm going to go ahead and start checking it with you. So we are going to start with 18, add 3. So when you're doing these rules, making sure that you know your skip counting or even your multiplication facts will really help you with these because it'll save you a lot of time instead of having to count up each time. So I could say, well, 18, 19, 20, 21. So I know that my next one's 21 because I counted up. But if you know those facts, you'll know that 21 is that factor of 3 that comes right after 18. So you can say 21, 24, 27, 30, 33, 36. Did I get them all? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I sure did. Okay, so now I'm going to go on to the 17. Okay, 17 add 2. Again, knowing those multiplication facts are tough on this one because 17 is not a factor of 2. So that won't really help you. You'll just have to be able to add 2 quickly. Okay, so knowing what goes with it to add up. So I know 17 plus 2 is 19. Plus 2 is 21. Whoops. Plus 2 is 23. Plus 2 is 25. 27. And 29. Sorry guys, you all know that Miss Gross struggles immensely when it comes to writing with these pens. I have such terrible on-screen handwriting. It's rough, something I'm planning on working on by the end of all of this online learning. Okay, so I don't know about you all, but counting back is always something that's a little more difficult for me than counting forward because my brain just has to trick itself into counting back. Sometimes I want to flip and start counting forward. So it takes a little bit more brain memory for me to count back than it does forward. But hopefully you all know these 4 facts and that will help you as you are counting back. So I know that 40 minus 4 is 36. 6 minus 4 is 2, so I know that this is 32. 32 minus 4 would be 28. 8 minus 4 I know is 4, so I've got 24. Then 20. 16. And that is my 6. Okay, so now that I have these, I want for you to look at them. I'm going to pick a different color. I want for you to look at them and see what are some patterns you notice that aren't necessarily the rule. So when I look at my green set here, this 18 adds 3, the first thing I notice is it's a mix of even numbers and odd numbers. So it's a mix of the two. So I can't say that they're all even. I can't say that they're all odd because they're both. But I do know that they're all factors of 3. So if I multiplied these all by 3, or divided them all by 3, they would all be factors of 3. So these are all multiples of 3. Okay? Then I look at my 17 add 2, and I do notice these are all odd numbers. So that's a pattern within our rule. These are all odd. Okay, that's something I notice about them that's different. Okay, these are not multiples of 2. When I go through and I look at it, I know that 19, I can't multiply anything by 2 to get me 19. So these are not multiples of 2. So I can't say that like I could easily on the first one. Okay. Then 40 subtract 4. Well, something I notice about this one, these are all multiples of 4. They are also all even numbers. Okay, so these are things that you can notice about the pattern of numbers that isn't said in the rule. Okay, and all I'm doing is looking at the numbers that we've come up with and seeing what's the same about them. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next page to give you some more practice with that. Oh no, Pearson kicked me out. I'm going to have to log back in real quick. Sorry about that, guys. I guess I was on there a little too long. So when you are working on this, you need to make sure that, ooh, I don't know that I can talk and filter, guys. Give me just a minute. Okay, this is the interactive one, but that's okay. Still the same, just a different color for you. Okay, so for this, we can see on our visual learning, if you flip the page, it gives us another example to work on. It says, the house numbers on the street follow the rule add 4. If the pattern continues, what are the next 3 house numbers? Describe a feature of that pattern. Okay, so down here in B, they've solved it for you. So it says a rule is a mathematical phrase that tells how many numbers or shapes in a pattern are related. The rule for the houses is to add 4. So you started at 16. They've shown it on a number line. They did a 4 jump, which got them to 20, another 4 jump to 24, and another 4 jump to 28. So the next 3 houses are 20, 24, and 28. Now over here, they've described the features of the pattern. So remember, those features are things that aren't said in the rule of add 4, but they're things that have in common, things that you notice about them. Another feature of these is that they're all multiples of 4. You can multiply a number by 4 and get all of these. Okay? They are also all even numbers. Okay, so you can see that those are 2 different features of these that we have. Okay, we're going to move on. Here, we've got another example up here on the top with a subtract 5, if you need to see that. Okay, so reasoning. Rudy's rule is add 2. He started with 4 and wrote the numbers below. Which number does not belong to Rudy's pattern? Explain. So when I'm looking at Rudy's pattern, I see 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 12. Which number does not fit in that pattern? Hopefully you're yelling at me that it is 9. 9 does not fit in Rudy's pattern because he can't get to 9 by adding 2 to 4. So if I say 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8, plus 2 is 10, we would not get to 9 by using that rule. Some of the other features in this are these should all be even numbers, and 9 is not an even number. Okay, so those are some things that you could say to figure out which one does not fit. Okay, let's look at number 2. Continue the pattern and describe a feature. Subtract 6. So we have 48, 42, 36, 30, 24. 24 minus 6 is what? That's tricky. Make sure you use those benchmark numbers. So I know that 24 minus 4 is 20, minus 2 more would be 18. 18 minus 6, I know 18 minus 6 would be 12 because I know 8 minus 6 is 2. Then 12 minus 6, well, that's a doubles fact, so I know that it is 6. And so what are some things that you can notice about this that is a feature of it that is similar? I can see they're all multiples of 6. They're also all multiples of 2. I can also see that they're all even numbers. Okay, so those are features of these patterns that you could notice. Okay, I'm going to scroll down and do a couple more with you. Before I set you free. Okay, so subtract 3. You are wanting to continue this pattern as well as describe a feature of the pattern. So subtract 3. 21 minus 3 is 18. 18 minus 3 is 15. 15 minus 3, sorry, I gotta grab my pen again, is, oops, 12. 12 minus 3 is 9. Okay, so what is a feature of this pattern that you are noticing? Unfortunately, they are not all even or odd, so that's not one we could come up with. But we do know that these are all factors, not factors, I'm sorry, I'm backwards, multiples of 3. Okay, so you could multiply all of these with 3 to get their answer here. The last one I'm going to do with you is number 4, and that is an add rule. So add 7. 4 plus 7 gives us 11. 11 plus 7 gives us 18. 18 plus 7 would make 25. That's a fact I knew quickly because I know that 18 plus 2 is 20, plus 5 more would be 25. And I'm going to use that same knowledge to figure out the next one because I know 25 plus 5 is 30, plus 2 more would be 32. Okay, so now that we have that pattern, what's something you notice about it? Again, unfortunately, we can't say, oh, they're all even, or oh, they're all odd. What can we say about them, though? Can we say they're all multiples of 7? We cannot, because unfortunately, 4, that's smaller than 7. So there's no way that it could be a multiple of 7 if it's smaller. What are some things you notice about this? Adding 7 is that rule. You'll notice that it is alternating between even and odd numbers. So we start with an even number. Can't write this small. Then we have an odd. Then we have an even, odd, even. So do you think the next number would be even or odd? You are right, odd. And it would be because 32 plus 7 would be 39. So it alternates back and forth between that even and odd. That is the pattern that you could notice. All right, so today you're going to be doing the practice buddy for 14-1. I know that practice buddies are a lot of reasoning questions and word problems, but all it's asking you to do is think of these patterns and use what you learned in today's lesson to help you. If y'all need help, please come to our office hours. as much as your teachers love each other, we would love to see you all and get to talk to you all instead of just ourselves. Okay, so come join us. And if you have questions, be ready to ask them. Don't be afraid to ask questions. That's what we're here for. Have a great day, Super Scholars.